woman went to police and said the standard of living in Uganda was rather high and asked that she be deported. I stopped for a minute and thought, maybe it is too high. Or maybe Makerere and other university students would say no because they get to eat food of not more than 500 shillings. I don't know. That should be something you can think about over the next couple of hours. Good morning at NTV up to 9 a.m. But for now, let's get you started with that question of the day. Let's get your geography going, and if you answer correctly, the first 5 respondents, you walk away with a beautiful mug from Morning at NTV. And of course, tweet it at Morning at NTV. Feel free to tag us at MB Gold 2, at Joel Senyi, at Kasiate, at Mebkeb, and of course, at Dakaba Chigongo. Make sure you also tag at NTV Uganda and visit our new website that is live, ntv.co.ug. Beautiful website. There's also an icon, watch live, and you can go there and stream live. You can also use youtube.com/NTV Uganda /live and catch all the other quality programming. Now, of course, good luck to all of you who are answering that question, and we'll be contacting you if you are the winner. Now, Mabel is standing by at the NTV studios. Mabel, quite fascinating that the standard of living is high in Uganda. You know, I personally have had part of my life where food was so cheap here. And when that Congolese woman did that, most of us were really shocked. Is this actually true?
Well, I think so. I remember the days of chikumi when I was at campus. I'm not sure if that place is still there anymore and how much food actually is. But one piece of meat was chikumi, a portion of beans. You could get portion for chikumi. It is. Things are actually quite tough here in Kampala. And I guess that's why we see the cyclists striking and all people complaining really everywhere. But welcome to the show, Morning at NTV. I could see Brian there walking off, but we will continue Morning at NTV by taking a look at the news. Border cyclists and taxi drivers called off their strike that left public transport in the city paralyzed for a few hours yesterday. This was after they stormed the police headquarters in Naguru, demanding to meet the Inspector General of Police, Kale Kaihura, over accumulated grievances against Kampala Capital City Authority.
A few hours after beginning their strike, taxi drivers and a section of border cyclists stormed the police headquarters in Naguru, a Kampala suburb, seeking to meet Inspector General of Police Kale Kaihura. The warring parties are the Ugandan National Union of Drivers and Allied Workers, which support today's strike, and TAPSCOM, which is against the strike.
But we are oppressed in our own country. Our friends are in jail in Luzira.
But when the two groups met, they got involved in a scuffle. Kampala Metropolitan Police Commander Felix Kawesi intervened to calm down the two groups, but he didn't make much headway. The rival groups asked Kawesi to call the police chief since the situation was beyond him. Later, NTV learned that the police chief invited the two groups for talks. Each group chose 10 people to represent them in the closed-door meeting with a view of calling off the strike. The striking taxi drivers and border cyclists are bitter with the manner Kampala Capital City Authority law enforcement officers treat them while collecting fees. The meeting with Police Chief General Kaihura went on until late in the evening.
KCCA has agreed that there should be new elections within 1 month.
So we're going to wait for the names of the 10 people from TAPSCOM and 10 people from UTRADA to help us to organize the elections.
It took many people a lot longer to get to work, as the taxi drivers did keep their word by going on strike. The commuters who did manage to get into a taxi had to pay extra for their journey. Solomon Kawesa was out and about on the streets of Kampala yesterday morning.
Early morning, the commuters were stranded. The taxi drivers had kept their promise to keep off duty in a sit-down strike. They claim the KCCA officials are mistreating them. The few taxis that were open to taking passengers took advantage of the strike and hiked the transport costs. Realizing that they were the available option, the border riders too exaggerated their prices. Some, like this man, chose to walk to work. Others decided to stay home, assuming it would be understandable to all that transport had been inaccessible.
Transport is too hard today, and I'm going to get a border today and takes me to school.
A few managed to get lifts in private vehicles. The taxi drivers have demands. They want KCCA to stop harassing them and the authorities to quit extorting money from them.
Tewali kyetulumanga abasajja ate batakola mu taxi kututulugunya.
Nebo gyo omuntu ekatwe bakujjako emitwalo 6. Bakujjako emitwalo 6 taxi ne bagitwala. Ne nannyini yo atukojjetamwa n'agitunda. Tunaakola wa?
In the taxi parks, there was little activity as most of the cars had been parked. And with the taxis immobile, Kampala's normally busy roads were free of traffic all day. At Seka Market, the taxis that chose to work were met with resistance. The vendors at the market turned rowdy, upset that these taxi operators had ignored the strike and were working.
As the morning hours have been troublesome to many passengers, taxis are, however, back to their stages, ready to ferry passengers wherever they would like to go.
Solomon Kawesa, NTV.
In what could signal an end to the 6-year fight over the throne of the Chabazinga, or King of Busoga, newly elected Chabazinga Prince Wilberforce Nadiope Gabula IV has been presented to the Busoga Kingdom Luchiko, or Parliament, to officially launch him into kingship. But the event that attracted politicians like Speaker of Parliament Rebecca Kadaga was nearly scuttled when a group loyal to a claimant to the throne, Prince Edward Wambuzi, stormed the Bugembe Kingdom headquarters. Police was quick to rein them in, and the event went on peacefully. As Sheila Nduhuchire reports from Jinja, the new Chabazinga now awaits coronation at a date that's yet to be decided.
This was the mood in Jinja town as newly elected Chabazinga, or King, Prince Wilberforce Nadiope Gabula IV, prepared to come before the Busoga Luchiko, the legislative arm of the kingdom. The procession that went on till late on Monday evening started in Bugembe, the kingdom headquarters located a few kilometers from the town. By 7 a.m., melodies from drums and instruments echoed across Bugembe Hill. The people were in high spirits as they gathered to witness the presentation of the new Chawazinga before the Luchiko. But not everyone was celebrating. A group loyal to Prince Edward Columbus Wambuzi claims to be the legitimate Chawazinga stormed Bugembe to challenge Nadiope's endorsement as the new Busoga king. And they were willing to risk all and fight to ensure that nobody takes away what belongs to Prince Wambuzi, a son of deceased King Henry Wakomuloki, who died in 2008. But security personnel quickly overpowered them. Shortly afterwards, Prince Nadiope arrived amidst ululations from his subjects. Flanked by Speaker of Parliament Rebecca Kadaga and 9 hereditary chiefs out of the 11 chiefdoms in Busoga, the youthful Gabla sat on the contested king's throne for the second time since 2008.
William Wilberforce Nadiope the fourth. Akakasibwe gabi yaronde kwatiba kama ife abalangira besikirano.
Probably hoping this would be the last time he's presented before the Luchiko as a step to his coronation, Prince Nadiope beamed a little. Speaker Kadaga, who is also the Kamuli woman member of parliament, urged the Busoga to work with the Chawazinga and recover the lost 6 years of controversy.
There was no one to make demands for Busoga. But now we have a spokesperson who will speak for us and ensure that the properties and other facilities of Busoga are lawfully returned to them.
When Nadiope finally addressed his subjects, he spoke in a measured tone and the people were clearly excited.
Royalty. Now we cross over to the gentleman on the other side of the rooftop to find out what's making news in today's press. I'm sure the taxi story yesterday, the strike by the taxis, as well as that Busoga story is in the papers. But what do we have on the front page, Simon, today?
Well, we still have matters to do with the transport on the front page of the Daily Monitor, and we're talking about the shillings 2 trillion railway contract that seems to be stalling, and we're talking about that standard gauge railway that everybody has been talking about. We have been grappling that for the ease of transport, especially in regard to linking this landlocked country of ours to the rest of the world, we may require more than just road transport, and the standard gauge railway was that magic bullet. But looks like this may be long to come, and it's the headline story in the Daily Monitor this morning. Of course, the red paper, as always, will give you a screaming one, and today, Minister leaks Muhoozi UPDF secrets. What are the secrets that first son Brigadier Muhoozi Kainerugaba is holding? It's all deciphered in the red paper this morning, and many other stories, of course, even from the back end of the newspapers, which is, of course, the sports section.
What was with the letter?
Day of August 2014, we're coming to you live from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel. It's Tuesday, and yes, joined by the two incredible gentlemen, Joel and Brian. Good morning, Joel, and good morning, Brian.
Morning, Chief.
You're on fire this morning, man. Did they give you your number plates?
I have had that number plate for a long time, complete with my driving permit, which has been in police for 3 years. Yes, I had barely even gotten the details of mine. I had barely photocopied it. 2 weeks after I had received it, and some copy decided to pick it up from me. He asked me for it, I showed it to him, and he said, well, now you have to...
How do you manage? How do you do things?
That's the question I asked him. I said, this is 2010. I have been driving for the last 10 years. I have a driving permit that is only 3 months old. How do you think I was surviving in the last 9 years and 9 months? So I will equally go on without a driving permit. My problem is that I lost some 200,000 shillings in the process of looking for a driving. And I just want a driving permit just for the sake of having a driving permit.
Just for the sake?
So you know you're breaking the law.
What law? I can't drive.
No,
No,
Yeah,
no,
you've
no.
got
You
to have a
must have
permit.
the driving permit.
No, I mean, anyway, then my instinct was that just like the things we do here, if you have the talent and drive, you are able to do it. You don't really have to get 20 degrees in mass communication to be a what? A broadcaster.
No,
So I said, if you are behind the wheels, I have never had any accident. I've not knocked anything except chicken and deliberately border riders. Anyway, I wait
you know people's sauce just like that, chicken, you said.
Well, I am also looking to partake
I've
of
always
the
asked,
same
how
thing.
do you knock a pussycat? Until I was...
Say what?
Yeah, people knock pussycats
Really?
and rats. How do you do... You must be like...
You must be
cheaper
very
Adams.
good,
Yeah,
eh?
very fast.
Because the cat is something
No,
else.
normally it's not you that knocks the cat.
Ah,
The
it
cat knocks you.
Yeah, just like some people, they are knocked by trees, not trees knocking. Okay.
Well, the Chinese company accuses government of sending biased individuals on negotiations team over the controversial rail project, claiming meeting are held without agenda. Now the Chinese companies are beginning to spill a few secrets here with regard to that standard gauge railway that we've been talking about. It's in the Daily Monitor. Now these corruption scandal stories are normally very intricate that, you know, even breaking it down for you on a press review like this one possibly only just makes it worse. You need to get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor. Get to read this story word for word to understand it. And if you have any questions, of course, you know, Monitor's got a website and a contact address. Drop them a call and find out what more it is that the journalist has not put in here to connect all the dots.
It's interesting what the lizard here says. Maybe the government negotiators were thirsty. They needed to be oiled a little bit. But this is same old stuff. You know, one of the challenges, many times we actually sail away this country and many African countries. We go to negotiate on empty stomachs, as it were. We travel first class. They take our officials first class, take them to these top-of-the-range hotels, and they're very confused. They're just waiting for a time to go and shop. Meanwhile, last minute, they bring things signed. So this is not surprising because these guys say there's no agenda and so on. Same old, same old.
Well, you've had this wonderful quote that is making the rounds that you see America was built by the Americans. The America as we know it today was built by people who migrated in there, called themselves Americans, and built it from scratch. Europe was built largely on the blood, might, and sweat of Europeans themselves. But somehow you, instead of building Africa, you're busy outsourcing it to you know who. Chinese on one hand, the Europeans on the other hand.
Especially Chinese have the competence to do that.
I can tell you, why shouldn't you have the competence to build yourself? You think the Americans have to import the competence, or are you trying to say that certain people are created with competence and others are not created with competence?
You either have it or you don't. So we
in-
don't have it.
Says
And
who?
now
Are you kidding me?
when the president asks the military or the army to get into, you know, constructing the railway, controlling NADS, you're the same people that shout.
No, it's
so
because
what do you want us
he's
to do?
superintending over an incompetent and
is the
inept
military an
government.
American military? Or it's a local military?
No,
They are cut from the same
isn't
stock.
it us? We are the same, right? The UPDF are Ugandans, they are Africans.
That's what I'm telling
so
you.
when the president asks them to control NADS, asks them to control beauty pageants, asks them to build the railway, you're the same people who say that it's not possible. Now you're saying we are not building our own country. So what do you want us to do?
I don't know if you're on the same tangent.
No, we're
here.
on the same tangent. What Molondo is simply saying is that the military should be able to build everything. That when the rest of us are not military people should look on in
No,
aid
but you
and clap for them.
Ugandans have failed to do that is expected of
And
you.
you Congolese are doing what? We're talking about DRC.
Yes,
We are getting reports here coming in the Daily Monitor that Ebola has been cited in neighboring DRC. Now, let's not forget that the first case of Ebola reported was indeed from the Democratic Republic of Congo, then called Zaire. And in fact, it's a strain of Ebola called Ebola Zaire. So
Unfortunate
there it is a time for us to be a bit more vigilant with regard to how much we can avert the situation from coming to our doorsteps.
Kir Mashar given another 45 days to agree on unity government. This is ping pong that is yet to end. Yet to end.
Well, we also know that the police is questioning some top officials from the Uganda National Roads Authority. The reason that now famous Mukono Chetume Katosi Road that is sending tags wanging, and of course former ministers assuring current ministers, former ministers in that docket assuring current ministers in that docket to style up or else face the brute force of the law.
Now, we know that the Minister of Defense was before Parliament defending rapid promotions of one Mohozi Kainerugaba. And the gentleman called him, but he was an aide-de-camp to the president. And it's a bit odd. These guys stupendously grew from a rank here to a number of them.
I think you're being unfair to these two gentlemen, especially if you look at Afande Mbadi. For many years, that Kano, who stood behind President Museveni as an ADC, Try to find out more about him, more than just the fact that he stood behind the president, opened and closed his doors. For whichever military course Mbadi went for, and this I know for a fact, he topped the class, intellectually and physically. What more these members of parliament want? Anyway, when it comes to these members of parliament, I can tell you they are in the wrong place, the majority of them. They shouldn't even have the audacity to speak on anything, let alone. You know, they speak out of ignorance. You can try to find out about an individual. Go. The records are clear. Did anybody attend any course? What was the selection process for him? You imagine the hounding him here. This is a man from Kasese. Possibly, if Mbadi had been any other tribe, as had been accused of President Museveni of having 8 camps that were predominantly from his region, that would have been an issue. Anyway, I just don't understand this point. And I can tell them without, I know him. He doesn't know me, but you know, I try to find out about people. And I can tell you, you are yet to find an UPDF army officer that has got his head properly screwed on their shoulders like this guy, Mbadi.
Well, of course, now it's probably because
about
Muhozi,
of course,
I think we need to ask questions.
Carries with him the brand name Museveni. And unfortunately, there is nothing he can do about the fact. Whatever he does, he's damned when he does, he's damned when he doesn't. If Muhozi was a rank of lieutenant today, these same people would be saying, how can the president really be so unfair to this guy and keep him a lieutenant?
Which people are you talking about? But you see, there's been lots of talk about especially the army sectarianism, tribalism, etc., etc. And yes, some of it is blown out of proportion. But we need to ask questions, because if somebody rises from a rank of, say, Lieutenant Colonel, and all of a sudden they're a brigadier or that kind of thing, I think questions should be asked, and then ocular evidence.
I have my friend who is a regular viewer of this program, and I want to believe that he's watching, Brigadier Gureme Matthew. Ask anybody that knows Matthew Gureme. He's a guy you have a conversation with, and for a moment you keep pinching yourself. Is it true I'm speaking to an army officer? If especially you know what Ugandan soldiers looked like from the word go. Astute lawyer, brilliant by all accounts.
Why don't we then ask the criteria of promoting an army officer? Because if you go to school and study, like Muhozi and but they have.
Or possibly you can start from the fact that how do you say what's the selection process of those who actually go for courses and those who don't?
Maybe that's where the question is.
But you also, but if those that have worked very hard, because I'm told the criteria is one, depending on how much you have achieved on the battlefield, etc., in terms of executing your duty. 2 is how much you have studied, especially those 2 and a couple of others.
And the other natural human politics of interpersonal relationships. At the end of the day, it is how you relate with the people that supervise you that determine whether they go. Yes, I joined NTV here.
Listen, right. Again, it should be tethered to are you able to deliver, not are you friends with me?
Listen, one thing is for sure. It's a combination of both forces. If you have negative attitudes, you may be such a brilliant, you're such a brilliant presenter. But you've got negative energies, you are boisterous, your boss says you do not take instructions, but when they put you on the set,
then you're a bad presenter. Because
so
maybe that's
being a soldier, beyond just having exploits on the battlefield, beyond having wonderful academic courses to your shoulders, also the interpersonal relations. How do you relate with your commander? Do you tie your commander's shoe? Do you remember that picture? You remember the picture? No. There are others who are also moving. That's what I'm telling you.
There are not many, and the majority are those who look like these guys are due for promotion, and it does not happen for them.
Yeah, because they do not tie the boss's shoelaces. You remember that picture of the late Mayombo tying the shoelace of President Museveni. I can tell you that is a master stroke of PR genius. At the end of the day, you see, life's journey is this. We all start together life's journey. All of us are, say, 40 years of age. We are born on the same day. But 40 years down the road, life should never ask you why you are what you are another person. You know there are people with whom you start a life's journey. Many of them you cannot locate them. There are also those with whom you start a life's journey, and they are up there.
Without a doubt.
Today I work. One of the directors at ESCOM was with me in the same class, same dormitory, same year. I am a manager, he's a director. I don't ask questions. I look at his performance, and believe you me, he's up to the task.
That's the point, up to the task.
These members of parliament think, for them, for as long as you've worked with President Museveni.
Because this has been raised by members of parliament.
Partly yes, because I know, partly yes, and largely yes. If that had been raised by another bunch of people, not members of parliament, I would say, what do you expect of a pig battleground? But because I know members of parliament, highly ignorant.
So even when anything holds water from that August house, it will not be taken by...
You get the fact that they've asked. But I think the most important things are, looking out for what is the criteria for promoting, then we can have that discussion of who has not been promoted and how long it will take for someone to hold a particular rank.
But also let's know that the army is an institution unlike others where personal discipline
is important.
And it is highly subjective of the supervisor.
Yes.
They are
That's true. Because personal discipline could be that when I tell you now divert this, you
in
do.
In the army, when they say jump, you don't ask why. You say how high.
I see.
That is jump or Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
All right. Well, the red paper also talks about Mohozi's UPDF secrets and how he has risen, up to the ranks. He's still under the command of General Katumba Wamala, but he heads the Special Forces Command. So you can grab yourself a copy of the red paper. And
the city is looking dirtier than yesterday, but yes, for the most part, because of the absence of these ISO Accord taxis and for the most part, border. We are told that now, according to the Daily Monitor this morning, the operators and KCCA have agreed on some issues. What are these issues? Get yourself a copy of the Monitor this morning. Of course, we are also told of the week starting on a low note as taxi strike paralyzes city transport. Paralyzes? Or possibly it offered us at least a breath of some fresh air.
But it did, paralyzing, I don't know, things as we know them, the economy. You see, I was having a chat with somebody who was saying, it is good like you were saying, look, I drove on a clean slate and that kind of thing. I said, look, there is a ripple effect. Eventually it affects you too. Because assuming now you are a manager, you get to work and the people you supervise are not in office yet. Not because of their own doing, because, they, unlike you, travel by public means. So they've not made it to work. You cannot hit your deadlines. Why? Because these people are not available and that kind of thing.
As a manager, I do not listen to... Listen, there is 1,001 reasons as to why I, Kasiate, cannot be in the office by 8:30. I could have a sick child. I could have undisposed whatever. My car could have a problem. All those are secondary to the whims and fancies of Eskom Uganda Limited. When they employed me, they say 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock. They do not want to hear stories of taxis on strike. It rained at my place. Any employee who wants to give a justification for their coming late and incompetence on the account of the fact that taxis were on a strike is an incompetent employee who should not be in a company like that.
I don't think so. I don't think so, Simon. I don't think so. There are people who make it to work.
This was clearly a city crisis.
Without a doubt. There are people, by the way, who make it to work very early every day. Yes. But you see, there are people who, yesterday they worked for, 2, 3 hours, etc., etc.
I'm telling you, in my position,
whether you like it or not, they make it there late, and it affects you too as their
I'm telling you that I, as a manager, I am very, very unwilling to listen to such reasons.
So you wouldn't cut someone some slack given yesterday. You get out, transport is 1,500 shillings, but they tell you it's now 5,000 shillings.
That's if it's even available, because there are places where it was not available at all.
Anyway, maybe I'm also being unfair here.
They're at work every day very early.
Maybe I'm being unfair because also the kind of company that I work for, the employees are able to give themselves life's basics. No, they don't stay on site. I mean, yes, the strike was in Kampala. It's not in Jinja where the bulk of my supervisees are. But also, for the most part, I know for sure, and without, at the risk of sounding vain, that Eskom pays people so comfortably that even with very exorbitantly high prices, they will still get to work. And guess what? Because of our environmental considerations, many of our employees walk to work. It is a campaign that we've started. It's a walk to work by Eskom staff so that we can reduce on our carbon footprint.
Simon Kasiat.
I look forward to seeing you walking.
When are you walking?
You'll be leaving your place at about what, 4 a.m.?
I have told you.
We'll have cameras following this guy. The last time you told us he walked, that was Namugongo.
Exactly.
I was with him. I saw him walk a little bit.
No, but when it started raining, he just disappeared, I think, in some of the flats.
All right, Busoga are very excited this morning. Gabula endorsed as Busoga King. This lot have been a disenfranchised lot. Now they have a Chabazinga, and somebody was saying now he's going to speak for them, etc., etc. But Busoga have suffered a great deal. Now they have an image, out there. I mean, when you see somebody seated in taxi wearing a helmet, that is a Busoga. When you see somebody eating fene while taking soda, that is a Busoga. When you see somebody watering flowers when it is raining, they say it is a Busoga have suffered. Hopefully now your Chabazinga will help you.
So this is going to change the stereotypes and all that?
I had somebody say that Busoga have been hounded for literally anything and everything.
I honestly think it has nothing to do with whether they had a Chabazinga or not.
But why do you people abuse Busoga a lot? Why did Busoga
No, there's nothing. At the end of the day, if you're a Musoga and you're lazy, there's nothing the Chabazinga is going to do for you.
Absolutely.
So, I love the Kabaka. But the Kabaka cannot come to my home and feed me. I have to get
He will only come to collect a
work.
tofali.
Yes, and I gave a tofali, but that's where it can go. So yes, Chabazinga is there, and I like what he said. He said, let's all work together to make sure that Busoga goes forward. And I like what Kadaga has done in this whole entire, Well, I don't know if she gave an ultimatum.
She's the one walking on the red carpet, the Chabazinga on the side. How big is big?
We of ESCOM, again, you're going to say you're going to get tired of
don't talk about ESCOM.
We are just going to plan to go and pay our homage to the new Chabazinga.
Are you going to give it Tofari?
What is it called in Busoga?
No, we're going to pay our homage and show our respect and all that, and honor the whims and fancies of the people with whom we operate and where we operate. Because we are his subjects.
Yes,
operating.
You pay royalty to Busoga Kingdom.
Not just that, but we pay absolutely.
The red paper this morning, Nabila cautions Lukwago and Museveni. Now Nabila told Lukwago that instead of going on and fighting, he should instead plan for a comeback in 2016.
And
That's some good advice.
In the meantime, what does he do?
Now you're going to hear the charlatans of the extreme end of Lukwago's camp. Oh, Nabila has been bought. Now they are using her to come. Anyway, Uganda.
But this is good advice. I think, time is running out.
So, in the meantime, what does he do?
He's not getting a salary, but he's vowing that his back is not broken after all. And I saw someone who posted on Facebook and they were holding him. You are saying her back is broken. Has he ever come to you to ask for food? Blah, 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 blah. The characters posting, they are posting off their office computers. They are using office facilities. Lukwago has no such luxury of an office from where he can defend himself.
Well, he's a good lawyer. Clearly you can tell that his life has not in any way lessened. So.
And for me, you see, my concern is that he's going to spend all this time in court. And then come 2016, maybe they'll pass something end of 2015 and say, we no longer need a mayor in Kampala. What is he then going to do?
Maybe trying to understand him. And given the background that, by the way, I don't support Lukwago as mayor. I preferred him as an MP, I think he's still trying to remain relevant here. So if he's told that now, keep off this, come back in 2016, then what? Because 2016 is determined by what he does between now and then. But perhaps the advice would be get back to Parliament. That would be from me.
Locals riot over power blackout.
Who is this?
You're reading it to him. Read it again.
Yeah. Locals riot over power blackout in Masaka.
Okay.
Yeah, so they did this by burning tires and closing all the
I had a chat with the RDC of Masaka not so long ago. Linus, my very good friend.
Linus Ngompek, is it?
I am trying to find out the root cause of why there are these rampant and ending power disruptions in Masaka. But what I know for the start is that that sprawling metropolis called Nyendo in Masaka, if there is any place that Umeme has had a problem of illegal connections, it is that place called Nyendo. Where people connect electricity ostensibly for domestic use, and at the end of the day are running maize mills. They are running welding workshops and all that. And there's a place where transformer oil is picked up at the highest rate. That is the place where the vandalism of cables is at its highest. Tell me, why wouldn't they have power blackouts if they are vandalizing installations and if they are illegally connected to the grid?
Now, Kasate, this happens. Why don't you do something about it? Well, you're generating electricity, but if you engage the powers that be, why don't you talk about this? Because you know that oil is stolen from transformers, illegal connections, illegal connections are going on.
No, at the risk of, I don't want to speak for my colleague Henry Rugam, and he will tell you authoritatively that Umeme is trying to do all that they can to avert the situation in Masaka.
Yeah,
the rioting that you see there is just people trying to hide behind their own heinous acts. Or so to speak. They know what they are doing to their own electricity there. How come that electricity jumps them and goes to Mbara?
Quote of the day in the Daily Monitor here, this is by Prime Minister Mbabazi to the youth. He says, each time you fall, rise up and try again and move on. For me, I always aim higher, and until I die, I will aim higher.
I can see.
The message has been sent loud and clear.
Yes. The writing is on the wall. You need to be, I don't know.
Certainly, he's not aspiring to be Pope. He's not aspiring to become a Secretary General of the United Nations. He's not aspiring to become President Obama's successor. So what position is he aspiring for?
Your guess is certainly
in Prosper magazine in the Daily Monitor this morning, we're waking up to an interesting story of a lady, Benedicta Nanyonga, who spends much of her time doing what others would consider a crazy chore, but she collects straws, recycles them, and turns them into bags, mats, and all the other paraphernalia, including, and not limited to, earrings. Soon she possibly will be making for us neckties
and bow ties.
And bow ties.
Somebody was bugging me this morning. Joel, you didn't buy for me bow ties and Smanya neckties. You read that paper,
Well,
find out where you can buy
you, the holiday makers, I'm sure you're enjoying the last bit of your holiday, but please do not stop at asking for ice cream and candies. Ask daddy or mommy or benefactor to get you a copy of today's Daily Monitor, because in there we've got the Rainbow Magazine, which is a magazine that's specially tailored for you, the child that's at home that loves to get to know what's happening around them without bothering to read the otherwise depressing newspapers. So you can get yourself a copy of Rainbow Magazine in the Daily Monitor this morning and get to have some fun away from your school books.
Charles Mbire has been appointed the chairman of the new board of directors for Makerere University Holdings Company.
Good for them. I hope that will bring some amelioration to Makerere as we know it.
What does the Makerere Holdings Company do? It's the one that has the assets for...
the assets or the liabilities, for that matter.
Well, just finally, the special report in the Daily Monitor today, they're looking at, again, youth unemployment. And yes, without nurturing talent, there will always be few job opportunities. And there is an interesting look at people who have earned big from their talent. And of course, one of them is it former Okaro and Kaiser Chiefs player Dennis Obua, who was also playing for the Cranes until he became physically and mentally and discipline-wise unfit. Then we're also seeing our good old friend who intends to sex up our national anthem, Alex Mukulu. And of course, we're also looking at a story coming in from the former executive director of the Uganda Investment Authority, Maggie Kigozi, who is very proud of her son, Navio, the musician, who is earning big from his talent. That's what they call nurturing talent and supporting talent. It's in the Daily Monitor this morning.
You know, this is tethered to that. I like this letter. He talked about youth employment or unemployment. This is a letter from Patrick Nakabala, the youth MP for Central Region. He writes here and says we need radical measures to curb unemployment. Now, you might remember that this gentleman led a bunch of preposterous young people that are nailed before the president, and they always go begging and that kind of thing. So for him to seem to have a change of heart, I'm thinking, all right, finally he now sees the light. And I hope he means what he's saying and says what he is meaning.
Well, of course, you know that in the game of golf, which is the headline sports story this morning in the Daily Monitor, we have a huge regional campaign coming in onto our land here, which will be hosted by Uganda at Ntv. And we are told that over 40 elite golfers have come in from abroad, and Ugandan pros are gearing themselves to tussle it out with them. It's in the Daily Monitor this morning.
You talked about Masaka, you know, they are stealing power and that kind of thing. We are told Masaka teachers cannot use computers as well, yet they are expected to superintend over teachers that teach their students how to use computers.
Well, I think that would be at the point at which we cross over to Mabel, who is with us, but at the studio of NTV at the Serena Conference Hall, to share with us what's happening on the international scene. Is there electricity in Gaza? If not, why?
Thank you very much, Simon. I'm actually not sure if there's electricity in Gaza, because we do know that airstrikes have killed 2 Palestinians and wounded 20 early this morning. And the picture here of a building which is really crushed. So I guess it means it depends on where you stay, if there is power or no power. An Israeli man standing here by the remains of a Palestinian man, sorry, by the remains of a charitable organization building which was hit by an Israeli airstrike. And lots of buildings are being brought down in this part of southern Gaza. And we do not know when this is actually going to stop. This is a story actually on the Reuters page. Still on Reuters, California wine country quake losses are up to, I do not know how many billions, but it is actually in billions in US dollars. We did see yesterday that there was a quake in parts of North America and South America. Now, this is Napa. Napa is known for its wine in California, and there have been severe losses there. No loss of life, which is great, but buildings have been destroyed and people were injured. Now, this is very interesting, something I think people like Simon, Brian should take note. Last week we did see, about 2 weeks ago, who owns the copyright of a selfie taken by a monkey. Now, according to this article on Sky News, ghosts and gods cannot be copyright holders. The U.S. Copyright Office will not register works produced by nature, animals, or plants, or by divine beings or supernatural beings. So if you do say, you know, the monkey took it, the picture does not belong to the monkey, it actually belongs to the human being. So I hope that is settled. Well, that is from the office of the Copyright Office in the US. I'm not too sure what other countries would have to say about that. Moving on, still on the Sky News page, we have Syria ready to work with the West in the ISIS or IS battle, the Islamic State battle. Now, you remember that it is interesting. Really, you have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. The US and the UK did back rebels against President Bashar al-Assad, but now they want to fight with him against IS. So as they say, no permanent enemies nor permanent friends in politics. These are IS militants marching in northern part of Iraq, and they have also taken quite a bit, they control quite a bit of property and land in Syria. On to the BBC page, Poroshenko and Putin are set to meet. Russia has said they have 12 Ukrainian soldiers that they have captured, and the tensions are rising between the two. I do hope that these talks will actually take place, and at least we shall see some normalcy coming back to both Ukraine and Russia. Now, Ebola has killed a Liberian doctor who took the ZMapp treatment. It is an experimental anti-Ebola drug, but unfortunately, this doctor who had been showing signs of recovery has succumbed to the deadly disease. Now, we did talk about Elbert Ebosi yesterday, who was hit on the head. He died, a footballer, Cameroonian footballer playing in Algeria, and now the league in Algeria has been suspended. The stadium in which they were playing in was under construction, hence lots of rubble available for the fans to use to hit players. It's uncouth hooliganism, or I don't know, whatever word you can use to describe the very unfortunate incident, but the league has been suspended and the Interior Ministry of Algeria has launched an investigation. Michael Brown's funeral took place yesterday. In attendance were members from the White House, church leaders, Trayvon Martin's family, and as you can see, these are about 2,000 people in the church. We also have a picture of his mother here, and it was just really sad. Mourners here trying to find hope and meaning in his death, as well as a call for social change and policing methods. Those were some of the messages that were given out during his funeral service. Now, we have all heard of the ice bucket challenge. Now, in India, this journalist said, you know, why waste water? So she has come up with the rice bucket challenge, where people actually give rice to poor people. They donate rice since rice is a staple food there, and they have it instead of just pouring water on yourself, which is good if you're raising money, but why not give some rice to someone? And she says rice does actually rhyme with ice. And then a dating site here, a Siren dating app lets women call the shots. It's an app that has been well, designed by women for women, so that they do not get conned when they go looking for dates, blind dates on the internet. That's all we had for you here. Morning at NTV will continue after this break.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
Hello, is this Munji?
Yo, this is Munji.
I am feeling your new Virgin Jam right now. It is off the hook.
Thanks, man. I'm also feeling you. Seducer.
Make a call for whatever reason. Call someone, call anyone, and change your life. Make a call and you could win 100 million shillings, a car, or a smartphone with free data for a year. Plus, win 2 free minutes every day. Airtel. Together we can.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Welcome back. This is Morning at NTV. We are now going to head to Simon for the big story, but if there's anything you'd like to comment on, remember our Facebook page here, Morning at NTV. Post your question or comment and we shall be glad to read that. Over to you, Simon. Good morning once again. Good morning, Simon. Simon, it seems we cannot hear you this morning, but we do know you are hosting Wilson Owere, I think you're hosting Wilson Owere from the National Organization of Trade Unions, and you're going to be talking about the transporters' strike that took place yesterday here in Kampala. Simon, are you there? Good morning, Simon.
Yes, good morning, Mabel, again, and sorry again for that mishap in the sound, but just like I was saying, that indeed today's big story is about the paralysis, as is reported in the Daily Monitor this morning, of yesterday's strike by taxi operators in this city that left hundreds, perhaps even thousands of city dwellers stranded and scampering for the little available transport means to and fro their destinations. This was occasioned by the fact that some unions within taxi operators are or feel disenfranchised over the treatment that the Kampala Capital City Authority is giving them. I have tried to get to the bottom of understanding what it is that their grievances are, beyond the staccato of noise that you seem to get, because what we see for the most part are news clips that we normally fetch in the field, but of course you know what that means when you go to the taxi park to get a soundbite. All you get is a staccato of noise. How did you find anyone articulating their issues? Every effort by this program to get in touch with one of the leaders of these organizations, Abdul Kitata, remain futile. Perhaps one day he will come here and explain himself in more detail. But for today, we'll have the pleasure of hosting Wilson Owere, Asha, the Chairman General of the National Organization of Trade Unions of Uganda. Now, the reason he comes in very handy is because the aggrieved parties, or the taxi drivers under their umbrella National Union of Drivers. The key word there is union. It is a union and should therefore be under the National Organization of Trade Unions of Uganda. We'll be right back. A very good morning, Asha Wilson Owere.
Good morning.
You are the Chairman General of National Organization of Trade Unions, Uganda.
Thank you.
A union that puts together taxi drivers is up in arms, feeling disenfranchised by the treatment they are getting from the administrators of this city. To what extent is your organization involved in these skirmishes down here that relate to this union of taxi drivers?
Actually, this whole saga was hijacked by that organization. Transport sector in Uganda has only one union, which is Amalgamated Transport and General Workers Union, which is was started by actually the late Ignatius Musazi, and all along it has been operating and organizing both aviation industry, road transport, marine, and also the cyclist. And when you come down even to now, the borders. Now, the whole of this, as far as I agree, there's a problem. But the whole thing was hijacked.
Okay, before we go down into the politics of which union is what and all that, do these people raise formidable grievances from where you view them from?
Yes, there are pertinent issues that are supposed to be addressed.
One?
First of all, there's a lot of mishandling of people, not only tax people, but even the people who operate business within the city.
They are being mishandled by KCC. When was the last time you were in a taxi, Asha Wilson?
I traveled in a taxi.
When was the last time you were there? Let's be very honest here. Because I can tell you without a fear of contradiction, if there is any bunch of bad-mannered, ill-bred, the people who mishandle others, and you know what hurts me? Is they mishandle their own clients.
Yes.
A taxi driver, or I have no love whatsoever for them, and many people feel the same way for them. He would never stop at abusing you for simply wearing spectacles. You know, that kind of nonsensical behavior.
Actually,
do they have the moral authority, really, to claim that anyone mishandles them? Really?
Yeah, you know, rights is rights.
Yeah, but you see,
you know, it's
why
not,
they want their rights? Do they ever consider that their passengers also have rights? That's number one. Number two, if they tell them that their cars must be of a certain standard, do you see the carbon footprint that many of these taxis leave on these roads here?
Kashata, I agree with you, but the issues we are
why do they hate regulation?
The issues we are trying to address here is not actually the way they behave, the way they what. The whole transport system needs reorganizing. And what does it take? The biggest problem is the structure. When you look at the city, you look at the people who operate, the people who govern it, and so on. I want to thank...
Let's not speak in abstract terms. It is clear, and you and I agree, that the biggest problem here is the structure and needs to be reorganized.
Yeah.
The question is, by who? It obviously will be have the KCCA. Now, KCCA is trying to reorganize these people, and they are running roughshod all over the place, trying to frustrate the effort by the organizer to organize them. What do they want?
The problem is approach. And that approach, which is bad, you find that the wrong people who are not supposed to
How wrong is the KCCA
guide. No. I'm not talking about KCCA. KCCA is doing its job. The only problem is that they must bring stakeholders to sit with them, plan together, so that whatever they are doing is in line with whatever is going on. People come to understand. You know, the type of me and you, we do understand what KCCA is doing. But you don't expect that caliber of workers down there to understand what they are doing.
They will understand, but after a long explanation.
Oh, of course.
And that's perhaps why KCCA has constituted a committee to mediate its operations with the taxis in Kampala, and the committee is now called Taxi Parks / Stages Coordinating Committee.
By the way, that committee is okay. We have no problem with it. And personally, we as Amalgamated Transport and General Workers Union, we want to work closely with the KCCA. But you know, they have been trying to avoid the already formable structure, going in for goons. And I don't want to mince words here. If you decide to reorganize, and you want to reorganize with people who don't even have a structure, then there's a problem.
So this union of theirs, National Union of Drivers, Cyclists and Allied Workers,
that gentleman who calls himself Kitata, this gentleman, I don't even want to listen to, you know, he's just being used for a certain political motive.
Used by who?
Used by so many people.
At least if there are so many, you could give us a name or two. You said you're not here to mince anyone.
No, most, and I want police to get out of this problem. Because some of these guys are being used by police. I don't see a man coming up claiming to be a union leader when he has never even been anywhere around the union. Are you getting my point? This gentleman claims to be leading a border. You find that he has never even owned a border. He has never even, he doesn't even know how to ride a border. You see that kind of thing. Now, when you are talking about transport sector, transport system, I expect KCCA to liaise with Amalgamated Transport. We are now going in because whatever this claim are in, we are now trying to put it in writing so that we address it in a formal way. You know, we are now talking about informal sector.
But tell me, what are the grievances of these people? To be very honest, I am trying to wrap my head around it. I can't find it. What's their key
the grievance is one, they are being overcharged. They are paying a lot of money, and I think...
Which they are not getting from the clients. The clients bargain. They never pass on the charge to the clients.
That one,
you see, that's what I don't understand. That dishonesty of taxi drivers. Fuel is increased by 30 shillings, They hike their fares by 200 shillings. And you ask yourself, where is the nexus?
You know, the problem comes right from the word go. You
see, because I failed to get my head around Kitata, and I'm not going to use press reports to inform my view of these people.
Now,
I've been trying to get him, ask him, what exactly is your problem? Someone told me that the issue they have is they don't want to pay a monthly fee. They want to pay on a pay-as-you-go basis, pay every so often. And they are...
No, all what I know, TAPSCO is trying to reorganize system in a way that you can even pay through mobile phone, and really they are coming up with a good system. But you know, the type of kit actors are the people who don't want to see order. Now, in such a way, he has now claimed to be a union
You know,
leader.
I've always told people that, well, to some extent,
and I want to
when
tell...
you stand at Platinum House and look over the old taxi park, what you see is nothing but disorganization. Exactly. But when you get in there, there is a certain order, there is a system. Some taxis know which one goes out first, they have numbers, and say, number yang, that kind of thing. That is highly informal, and I don't think it has a place in today's Kampala as the world is moving forward. Why don't these people get to understand that the rug has been pulled under their foot? They need to become formal in the operations. Why don't you engage them, you as a trade unionist? Why don't you, yes, you may think that Kitata's union is an illegal, badly formed union, but why don't you go inside there and regularize them?
We are already there. We're already there. A few months ago, we have just reorganized the Ntv taxi operators. By the way, in yesterday's strike, our people were very clear, and they are the ones who are actually taking people out. First of all, we have encouraged registration of borders. Now already there are 36,000 motorcyclists who are already registered by KCCA. Now, what we want from KCCA is, first of all, finish the registration and issue, because we want to see at all divisions and all areas, people are clearly marked. When you are operating, let me say, in Serena, around Serena, we know that you are from there.
If you meet me in Bugorobi, by virtue of my helmet or
color of anything, you are there. And by yesterday, can you imagine that for us union, when you are going out or you have a grievance, first of all, you start by putting it down. You start with dialogue. You negotiate. The strike is the last resort. But you find that now, Honorable Yomoke jumps on bandwagon and starts inciting these people. Now, Kitata claims to be. Now, you find that now, I'm not happy with the Inspector General of Police. Because how do you meet people who are trying to... I don't understand what really is happening.
So you are saying that the Inspector General of Police or the police should have ignored this group of people who may, according to you, be goons and not meet them?
No, but you don't go everywhere.
In other words, he is lending credence to them and their organization that doesn't
exactly. There is just trying to create another kind of uninformed group.
Aren't you saying that because you feel disenfranchised? That's the one who thinks you should be the one
I'm not, because organized group is better managed, not creating confusion, and you want to build on the confusion. It's very, very wrong. It's very, very wrong.
What's the status today? Have these guys resumed operations?
No, they have. Even by yesterday, by 9 o'clock, people were already what? First,
what makes them unable to sustain a strike and say we are doing industrial action?
This is informal sector. Now, when you are in informal sector,
you don't work, you don't eat.
You don't work, you don't eat. Another thing is you cannot sustain something when you are not organized. You know, union, we plan. When you are going for strike, you saw when we were going for teachers' union strike, what we did. We gave 90 days. And after 90 days, we kept on reducing until we found that we had exhausted all the channels. And there was no any other option but to go on industrial action. And when we went on industrial action, everybody felt it. And we were so organized that we sustained it almost 2 weeks, you remember.
And at the end of the day, same problems are still bedeviling.
Yeah, but we achieved, because as we talk now, all the civil servants, even those, they have got the pay raise, which they have now actually, they have been paid. So what am I talking about? I would like to see, first of all, Minister of Transport, Works and Transport, must put in a place a regulator to regulate land transport system.
In the country, not necessarily
in the country.
But we have the transport licensing board or something like that?
You know, there are so many things. When UNRWA was coming in, I thought it was a regulator. And I was very, very, very happy. Now, what did I see? I only see them now working on roads and so on. But that is the organization which is now supposed to regulate all this transport system in the country. Now,
so in other words, the mandate of UNRWA needs to be revamped according to you,
to me,
have an authority that is regulatory towards road transport.
Transport.
And
even in the water, we have a problem now. You see a lot of accidents there. Who is really regulating that sector? So the problem is not only, it's bigger than what we are addressing.
So it's the absence of systems.
Systems which are now, people are capitalizing. That's why now you find a person like this man is using Kitata, is using, because there's no system in place. What do I do? You can jump there and do anything and go away with it.
You see a
but when he was trying to come to the union, we are telling him, man, you are not registered. Where do you come from? What is this?
So regularize and then join us.
And then join us.
And some would say that was a bit frustrating. You are trying to frustrate.
No. We don't frustrate. In industrial relations, we have what they call tripartite arrangement. You have the employer, you have the government, and the employee. Now, in that system, that's how you operate. When you have a grievance, like now we have a grievance with the Minister of Finance over NSSF, we are telling them to put in place somebody with management. And we insist on that, whether they do what. And we have formed all the authority. And we have been giving time and
ultimatum.
Yes.
We'll discuss the issue of NSSF another day and possibly break it down for many of our viewers who are great savers of NSSF to understand it better. But indeed, thank you very much for coming in to elucidate matters on this transport paralysis that we see in the city. Like I did explain to our viewers much earlier, it is a situation which, and I must admit my ignorance, I have failed to wrap my mind about it to understand what are the fundamental grievances that this group of taxi operators is raising. What is it that they are against that otherwise, because I've only listened to the other part, that they want to be regularized, they want to be charged fees, we all pay our taxes, exorbitant as they may be, but we don't demonstrate. And then you pull up an industrial action like that one, and before we know it, you have gone back because now you're feeling the pinch of your daily income. Whatever it is, thank you so much for elucidating. At least we benefit one or two things from your interaction with us.
Thank you for
We'll be right back with Simon Says. I read perhaps two things from this demonstration or industrial action that's carried out by taxi operators, even with the ignorance of what their grievances are, that is shrouding my ability to make a justifiable understanding of what their actions and the implications of which are. One, it is the pageant, the high pageant that we as a country love for informalization. We love it so formal, so informal. We hate systems, we hate regulation, we hate to be in a position where systems are operating. We want to run roughshod. We want it to be a man-eat-man society where the biggest muscle, the guy with the biggest chest is running the day. The guy that has the highest muscle takes it all, as opposed to systems that are based on merit. If there was indeed some formalization of the transport sector, if there was formalization of the organization that brings them together as an umbrella organization for their grievances, as we heard of Utoda and whatever it is, if all these things were formal and were based on the tenets of formality, perhaps they would be listened to even more by the powers that be. And maybe this is a message that many of you who are into this business may need to take home. Formalization, formalization, formalization is what will get you listened to. The moment you are informal and scattered and running around like vagabonds, clearly you will be treated as such. Number two, I also read the fact that there is quite some politicization that does take place in many of the things that we do. Politics is bedeviling this country at all fronts, where you find that even where there could have been an amicable solution or a stalemate that can be easily solved if minds were put together that are open, then the politics creeps in, takes charge, paralyzes the situation, and what was otherwise a well-meaning motive by people gearing at earning a decent living for themselves, they get infiltrated by self-serving, blood-sucking political forces, and at the end of the day, things fall apart, as they would say. If we could only avoid those two evils, informalization and politicization of whatever else we do, perhaps I think that this country would move in the direction of productivity. That, for me, is my Simon Says this morning.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Dang, I suck at women because you can still think about her, but she's gone.
You should always approach a girl when she's surrounded by guys.
Attractive women are the most insecure. That's why they spend more time in the mirror than other women.
A needy people pleaser, desperate, forgettable, replaceable, boring guy.
And how to deal with the obstacle, her friend.
One thing I want is money.
Imagine.
I mean, how dare you come to me, all dirty and shabby, looking like a war truck from Afghanistan.
I've been given a challenge to go up to those streets, get enough numbers of very hot girls.
Excuse me, so what do you do apart from looking good?
0702.
0702.
To enhance your enjoyment, NTV has brought you an exciting soap.
Hey! Somebody stop that guy! He took my purse!
Bloody Indians.
Sorry, ma'am.
I am sure there are thieves in your country too, but we Indians never abuse.
Made for Each Other will be airing every weekday at 6:30 p.m., while Scandal moves to 4:30 p.m. So sit back, relax, and enjoy your favorite TV channel. NTV. Turning on your world.
I see colors, the wonder of colors in everything I touch, in everything that reminds me of a world of beauty, a life of plenty, and every little story, in every crowning glory, a new.
Regal Paints. Paint it, love it.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Dan Sali. This idea that everybody is telling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
Newsnight with Andrew Mwenda.
I'm gonna blow your mind and I'm gonna twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy.
Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
Mubonyumiro ebyemizannyo jangu nkulage.
Does! And Adam Johnson, the boyhood Newcastle United man, Derek, flying in the face of all football logic. A magnificent goal by Robin van Persie. Ferdinand! Everton lead at Old Trafford. Walcott, Giroud. Suarez. Super Suarez. Gonna have to hand that back to now.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
Destiny River. I'm not leaving here until there's news about your dad. Well, if there's any news with the harvest, Estella will let me know.
That I was running this risk. I just didn't know it would be so soon.
And I can tell you that Geraldo is a very determined man. If he's decided to go after your orphanage, he'll go to the end.
He's gone way too far. But I just can't... I can't feel anything besides betrayal.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Welcome back. Simon earlier spoke to Wilson Were from the National Trade Union Association. And some of your messages here, we have James Masiko saying, obviously the transport system needs reorganization since there are no clear guidelines to follow. We also have someone at the top here saying that the Kasivante saying the railway line will most probably help us solve all our problems. And Michael saying the Ministry of Police, because that is what the guest suggested, said then what would these other ministries do of internal affairs and security? Regulating the transport system should not be left for UNRA only. We now cross over to Brian for today's Everyday Life. Good morning, Brian.
Morning, Mabel. Now, harmonious labor relations in organizations are a key to employee productivity and improved service delivery. This morning, we're going to look at some of the workplace challenges, what we're doing about them, and also present an approach that will probably be a solution to many of us that may have some challenges at work and how to address them. Maybe some of our taxi operators and drivers may borrow a leaf or the whole tree. Coming up in Everyday Life. And this morning, Bernard Mujuni, who is the Assistant Commissioner for Labour Inspectorate, Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, joining us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
And Douglas Opio, Head of Policy and Research at the Federation of Uganda Employers. Good morning.
Morning.
You've been here before.
Yes, on the Labour Day. Actually.
Yes, on Labour Day,
yeah.
up at the rooftop.
Exactly, it was a nice one there.
Yeah. Gentlemen.
Yes, please.
we know that, you know, we've talked a lot about workplace challenges. Last week I talked to a gentleman, you know, and we're talking about workplace bullying, what do you term as workplace bullying? And this morning, I'm glad that all of you are in that industry, you know.
Yes.
And I'll ask you right away, what are some of the common, you're an employer,
yes.
You're a commissioner,
Yeah.
what do employees come to you to report as their challenges? I'll start with the commissioner.
Oh, thank you very much. Really, the challenges are just wide. There are many, because, well, it starts from the morning. You know, most of us spend more time at work than even at home. So actually, your work colleagues are part and parcel of your life and family. It's a family altogether. So for you to produce your best potential, you need supportive, you know, interventions. You know, the work must be friendly, the workplace must be friendly, you must be enjoying it, you must be getting, call it equal pay for work of equal value, you know. You must be gaining from it, you must be supported by your colleagues, there must be gadgets to help you to deliver on the outputs, you must have good relationship with your employer, you must have a contract, for example. There must be other things like insurance, which is compulsory for all the employees. You must have, you know, safety, occupational safety and health. It must be conducive. The chair you sit in, like this one, it must be supporting this, even the posture you are sitting in every day. Short of that, you'll just start having a backache and then crack down. In other words, other than the machines at your workplace, a human being must be looked after. Yeah, that's supportive.
Our employers will give us excuse that, you know, maybe the companies will be going through actually hard financial times and cutting costs, and guys, give it some time, blah, 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 blah. What should an employee do to such things? Yes, you want to work and you want to understand what the company is going through, but, you know, it's making you not, you know, produce effectively as an employee.
Yeah. And that's why we, as employers, we are trying to do what we call social dialogue. We are trying to encourage the workers to talk with the employers. You don't just wake up in the morning and then you see workers striking and wonder what is wrong. You just come to office, you realize your office has been locked.
It's industrial action.
Yeah, so for us, the starting point should be some form of talking between the employer and the worker. And that way we can get a lot of things sorted. If I'm paying you low wages, perhaps there is a reason. Maybe the company simply doesn't have money. But you as a worker, maybe you don't understand that. But if we sat on the same table and we showed you the financial situation of the company, perhaps you would agree with us and say, maybe at a later stage when we are doing much better, then I can get a higher pay.
Right.
Yeah. Corporate, I mean, this is what we have been talking about. Social dialogue is one of the indicators of corporate governance. Corporate governance means that employers are accountable to their employees. The employees are working day and night, the same mileage with the employers. Where are we going? What are the challenges we are facing? This is what we are making, and this is how we are sharing it. So be open to the employees, dialogue with them, but within the spirit of tripartite, within the working framework of employers, workers, and the government. We have a tripartite charter which we signed.
Where it's the employees, the workers and government.
Yes. In the event that you are experiencing challenges, you approach these tripartite partners. We can help you as an employer, even as employees, to sort out some of those challenges at workplaces. Yeah.
One of the things that you talk about when it comes to social dialogue is effective social dialogue can be attained through skillful collective bargaining and strategic negotiations. And when I look at the taxi strike, it is a total failure. If you ask me, I listen to some of these guys on radio and you can see none of them knows even what is going on. They don't know why they are striking.
Exactly.
What is your definition of skillful collective bargaining?
On our side, skillful collective bargaining implies you have beforehand what you intend to achieve, but also you have beforehand what you intend to compromise on. Because the situation that we aspire for should be a win-win negotiation. You don't think about only yourself winning and the other party losing. That does not create harmony. So for instance, if you look at the strike that we have been having of the transport union, you look at it, some people are going to work, others are on strike. That's a sign even within themselves, no talking has been done. But also then you ask yourself the other question, have they exhausted all the other means? A strike is the last resort that one should take. But you find people taking it as the first option, which is wrong. So I think that's partly why it can't work well. That's why you have some other people going to work, others saying they're on strike, because they haven't talked even within themselves.
Right.
So that's very important.
Do employers relegate us to a place where, you know, social dialogue is not even an option, where you feel like unless we put our tools down, that's the only way employers will listen?
Oh, yes, yeah. There's always that extreme end of it. And you have seen it in some other countries. You have seen it in the Marracan, you know, the mine workers in South Africa. They have reached the extreme where they walk out and say, no, we are putting down our tools. And even we have situations here. But before you reach that particular stage, they are, they call them domestic remedies, which must be exhausted. Internal consultations, that the government has been consulted, the employers federation has been consulted, the workers union has been, the centers have been consulted. Well, you've seen my comrade here, Brother Wele, from NOTU, which is the center of where this particular union is affiliated. If he's not supporting you as a union, and this is your center, then you know that there are challenges in how effective you have been in mobilizing and getting people to support you. Now, before you reach that level, you must discuss social dialogue. You must first sit and say, now we have moved A, B, C, D, and we can no longer go on. This is the last resort. Yeah. Exactly. So to me, there's always that stage, but it is definitely, it comes as a result of failure to look at other strategies.
You know, for me, I believe in standards. Whether you think you believe in this, there's an acceptable standard for all of us. When do you know as an employee that it's time for industrial action? Because, you know, social dialogue will work and you'll engage it. And for many cases, employees will get to a point where they realize, okay, maybe we've been unfair to our boss. It's time to cool down. But when do you know that maybe it's time to take action?
Well, I can say something. I know Douglas has a lot to say about this.
It's okay.
Well, the industrial action is a tool. It's an approach towards mitigating or, you know, calling to the attention the powers that be to address your challenges. Yes, it can be before even the employer takes any action, but it can be post. Given an example, it could be because the employer probably is almost going to wind up and you can see the signs, you know, the business without paying your terminal benefits. And you say, no, let's withdraw our labor, That is legitimate, and maybe you want quick action to be taken before a disaster happens. But it can also be post-disaster, when the employer has wound up and everything has moved out and the employees sit together and say, what do we do? Let's march on the street. Let's lay down. Let's make it consciously, make the public aware that this is what is happening. And then the other parties can come to our attention, okay? So there is always a stage, there are signals which always come out very clear. But Douglas, you can say.
So usually the point when you can take on a strike is the point when you see you're not making any headway. You have been negotiating with the employers. Perhaps it could be on wages, perhaps it could be on issues of employment security, but the employer seems adamant. You have tried to meet, sometimes maybe some are not even willing to meet you. That's when you force industrial action, because you want to be heard. Industrial action is a sign that you're not being heard. So you now have to force somebody to listen to you. So it should be when the employer is not ready to listen. But as long as the employer is ready to listen, that's a sign you can get to a solution. Because I must tell you, an industrial action is dangerous for both sides. We both lose. The workers don't get their pay. The employer doesn't get his profits. The same thing like yesterday. Those who didn't work yesterday, they don't have money. They were not paid for yesterday's work. So But also the owners of the taxis and the borders, they also lost.
Yeah.
So it's a loss both sides. So by the time you decide that let's all lose, it must really be the extreme of things.
But we are saying that even industrial action, in cases of industrial action, the leaders of that particular action should not be victimized. Many a time, when some people take a lead in organizing workers at workplace, they end up being victimized, you know, identified and then restructured out.
Yeah.
You know, that, you know, this guy is no longer supporting.
You're the one who is not in line with the vision.
Exactly. And that's where we come in as a labor office. We say, no, this is part of the approach. It's part of building corporate governance to help you to identify a problem, probably to point you where you need to strengthen your governance structures in order to respond to your employees' needs and be more competitive and productive. Yeah.
Right. Well, if you're just joining us, I'm talking to Bernard Mujuni, who is the Assistant Commissioner for Labor Inspectorate in the Ministry of Gender and Labor Development, and Douglas Opio, who is the Head Policy and Research at the Federation of Uganda Employers. Continue this discussion on Facebook, Morning at NTV, and also tweet us at Morning at NTV, and feel free to tag me at MB Gold too, and we can get some of those questions to this gentleman. I'd like us to go there.
Yes.
Where do you report? When do you report? Okay. How do you report? How do I come to you and tell you things have failed? We are thinking of a strike.
Yeah.
And how much are you doing even now in other companies? And I know that trade unions are not as effective as we would like them to be, you know. Earlier we were talking about how other countries have it all together. If this was in another country, tomorrow and today, nothing would have been on the street.
Yeah. So in the question is basically a question of process. Now the question of process starts with your immediate supervisor. If you're a junior officer, you feel the working conditions are so terrible, the first starting point is to discuss with your immediate supervisor.
Right.
When your immediate supervisor does nothing or does something which you feel unsatisfactory about, then you report to his supervisor as well. So once you follow those steps and it's not possible, you eventually get to the CEO himself. And once the CEO hasn't resolved your issue, that's when perhaps you can consult the chairman board. But then if the chairman board is not also doing something satisfactory, that's when you now get to the government. You can go now to the labor officer, you can now go to the labor commissioner and report the matter. So that's the process essentially that one should follow in trying to resolve the issue at the workplace.
Yeah, and in instances where there is a union, there's industrial, there's union, unionization, workers are unionized. There's a shop steward always there. You know, we call them shop stewards, those who represent a union at the workplace. So they involve them in some of these discussions. And the law, the Employment Act is very clear. It demands that you should have committees at the workplace. You know, disciplinary committees, you know, sexual harassment committees, you know, all these committees. Occupational safety and health committee. So where a matter comes from any of those, or it's about salary or something, table it before a committee so that a committee can discuss it and give you a particular direction. If it doesn't work, of course, on that committee, the stewards always represent the workers and they are part of you know, internal negotiations.
Right.
If things don't work out, then that's when you can now bring it to the attention of the Commissioner for Labor or Labor Office. And we will take action.
Well, as we wrap this up, I'd like to talk about child labor. And I think I'll engage the ministry here.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of discussion even about human trafficking. You know, kids are taken out of the country and girls promised these good jobs. And we all, you know, somehow we all think the greener pasture is outside of this country. But then we keep seeing girls being brought back, girls complaining. What is the ministry doing to intervene?
Oh, wow. It's not necessarily a ministry. It's actually the government. What is the government doing? You know, there are various interventions, right from UPE and other supportive programs, you know. But on that particular note, without necessarily apportioning blame, is that everybody has a responsibility, right from the individuals. It's not only the government. And let's take this seriously, because every other person has an obligation to look after their children.
Yeah.
We don't have children who come out of Mars. They are brought into this world by parents who abandon them. So probably it's also about family breakdown and other social challenges, HIV, you know, unemployment, so mention them. But also the rate at which we are having children is much more, is much faster than the jobs we are creating.
Exactly.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it's a general
in the world,
problem.
actually.
See, in the end, you find that some people are taking benefit of this. Child labor always has demand and supply, the pushers and the pullers. There are people who always benefit from it. And so it's a very complex situation. We have over 2 million children involved in child labor in this country. And that's not good for the future competitiveness of our labor in this country. When we are talking about integration, East African integration challenges and all that, how can we have that youth compete in other countries with that background? You see? So it's a big hazard. We agree. But we are saying, yes, there are regulations, for example, on employment of children. You know, there are regulations that guide if you want to involve children in any child work or as related to, as different from child labor, which people don't always easily identify. How do you cut a line? For example, you have seen people in performances, musical performances, children involved, without the involvement of labor commissioner. The law and the regulation says the commissioner must come in and regulate the way you are engaging these children as to whether it meets the basic requirements of the best welfare of the child. And that means guaranteed education and not so much exposure or not exposure at all to pornography. I commend the efforts of one of the musicians, Baby Cool. I heard him on radio and he said that, yes, he brought his children to watch him perform. But after the performance, they went back home to sleep for another day. In other words, the subsequent performances could have been full of probably, you know, nudity or some, you know, and you know,
protected them
exactly. But look at some of the musicians; they get children, they go with them to some other countries. I'm not mentioning anyone in particular, but there are instances of that nature, including some church organizations and NGOs. Take children to fundraise, forgetting all about education. By the time the children come back, they are shocked into their senses.
They can't cope fit back into the system.
The child has seen New York, he has seen Disney World, he comes back and he starts, you know, at zero. That's a total shock. So for that child to come back to normal, it takes time. You know, he will even have nightmares. So are you building the society? So child labor can be driven by otherwise unintended parties. When you think actually you're solving the problem, it's a very complex.
Isn't it? Am I right to say it may be a failure on the government side because you give these organizations, I think, rights of guardianship, and you tell them to determine what they want for these children, and if they decide to take them to the US and back.
I think one of the most important things which every Ugandan knows. I'm not a politician, but I will say what the government and this particular government has done is to liberalize the economy.
Yes.
And let people operate and liberate themselves. And that has its own consequences.
Yeah.
So you cannot start constraining each and every there are very many who are well-intentioned.
Yeah.
But there are some who are into the private benefit. They benefit from this. And the challenge is how do we institute the mechanism for regulating this particular vice? So to me, it's not about the government failure, and everyone is part of the government. You cannot easily say it's this particular government in the context. If you're at local government level, it's local government. LOC1 is the government. LOC2 is the government. LOC3 is the government. Local government district is the government. And then there is the broader central government. So which government are we talking about? Even in your own domestic setup, you have a government there. You see, what role are you playing? So to me, it's about how to effectively engage, and we come back to the social dialogue. How can we constructively engage some of these issues and see an amicable kind of solution to them?
Right. What is the FU doing to, you know, educate us about our rights at work? Because some of us get it, and I know many women, even right now, may be watching this show and they're probably thinking, oh my gosh, when my boss walks in, I have to report for duty. And you're thinking, wow, it's going to go on. And this girl has been at this job for 5 years. Do workers actually know their rights.
Now, in terms of workers' rights, we have what at the Federation we call labor law sensitization. And this labor law sensitization, we do it within our membership and also outside our membership free of charge. Yeah, we simply get to a given workplace and do a lecture on the labor laws and also have question and answer sessions. So that's the best way we try and encourage and help workers to understand their rights. But also we do what we call a social dialogue. And within the social dialogue, we are doing enabling social dialogue project, and we are working with the Wage Indicator Foundation from Netherlands, together with NOTU, the government, and us employers. And through this, we organize workplace debates. So these workplace debates are essentially meant to help workers understand their rights, but also understand what the employers are doing. In one of the debates we had in Iganga, workers were being paid money for their leave, but the workers didn't know. So somebody would complain, I'm being denied my annual leave, I'm not getting my annual leave, yet the human resource was giving them money instead of the leave.
Wow.
Because the law provides for that.
And so for them they
didn't know what they didn't know.
It was for.
Yeah. They were thinking,
it's just being generous.
Yeah, it's just being generous, or a Christmas bonus, you know, and things like that. So sometimes people get annoyed, think their rights have been infringed when their rights are actually being respected. So that's what we try and do, to help people to talk with one another so that they get to understand what is happening.
Awesome. Parting shot as government.
Well, yes. Yeah, we definitely work with our partners. We have a program to sensitize also the workers. Every time we go for particular, we have mandatory labor inspections, first of all, and we sensitize the workers as we undertake labor inspections regularly, actually quarterly. In a year, we undertake over 100 labor inspections, and every one labor inspection can cover around 50 workplaces.
Wow.
So we have the mandate. We are mandated to make an annual labor inspection report. So far, we have compiled one which is due for publication, and definitely we'll share it with you and the viewers and the public. The issue of sensitization on labor laws is, it has to be ongoing, because the laws are many. There are 6 laws, more than 6 regulations, and many people and even employees and even employers do not know about it. What we have started to do is also to make sure that we engage the Uganda Investment Authority so that all our investors, especially also from the Asian community,
understand what, yes.
Once they come to set up any investment project, they have a compendium of labor laws and regulations, and we can engage them on how to undertake compliance.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
You can see most of the vices that happen at workplaces because some of the investors are not even aware. When you discuss with them and they come to see, they say, oh, for example, registration of workplace. Do you know that every workplace must be registered almost? And certification of the machines, forklifts, boilers, all these lifts, they must be certified, and you have to contribute, and we must raise non-tax revenue. And that's where we are focusing as the Ministry of Labor. We are focusing on raising non-tax revenue for sustainability. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. We'll definitely continue this workplace discussion. I know, we are not the experts. That's why we call the experts to talk about these things. What we need, though, is a quality population that delivers work. Whatever you do, whether you're sweeping, whether you're the boss at the top, because you also have your issues, whether you're the boss at the top. We want to help you make sure you become a more efficient worker. Now, a couple of information before I wrap this up. According to the International Labour Organization, in 1962, Uganda became a member of ILO and has since ratified over 28 conventions, which are a core of Uganda Employment Relations System. The Federation of Uganda Employers Terms and Conditions of Service Report 2008 shows that a number of labor and human rights complaints were registered. 23 were in the social services, whereas 12 in the hotel and entertainment sector. Next time we'll probably call Douglas Opio to come and tell us more about this. But you can continue a discussion with him on douglas.opio@fua at fuemployers.org. We'll also put up his contacts on our Facebook page and Twitter, and you can have more of these discussions.
And the websites
and
would
the
be
websites.
Useful. Yeah, would be useful. AfricaPay/Uganda for the employers, and mywage/.org/Uganda for the workers.
For the workers.
And they can come to any of our offices. Yes. Yeah. Well, the
Ministry of Gender is opposite CPS.
Yeah,
exactly.
behind the CPS.
Behind
Simbamanya
CPS.
building. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I've been there before.
Yeah, thank you very
All
much.
right.
Thank
you so much for joining us.
Been a pleasure.
We're going to take a breather. When we come back, we'll be talking sport with Brian Tuka and probably get an update from Ismail on what's happening in Mombasa. Stay with us.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Hello, is this Munji?
Yo, this is Munji.
I am feeling your new Virgin Jam right now. It is off the hook.
Thanks, man. I'm also feeling you. Seducer.
Make a call for whatever reason. Call someone, call anyone, and change your life. Make a call and you can win 100 million shillings, a car, or a smartphone with free data for a year. Plus, win 2 free minutes every day.
Airtel. Together we can.
Stand up to be counted. Brought to you by UBOS. It's your right.
You look worried. Have these people of Census also come to your house? Must they know all about my personal issues? Why not?
Mama John, being a single mother should not stop you from answering questions about your home and children. Women can ably answer.
Don't hide John and Mary from them. How will they know that such situations exist in our community?
And our leaders need to know our problems to plan for us.
Census is here. Get ready to be counted. Starting from 28th August to 6th September 2014. Together, we count. This message is brought to you by Uganda Bureau of Statistics.
To enhance your enjoyment, NTV has brought you an exciting soap.
Hey! Somebody stop that guy! He took my purse!
Bloody Indians.
Sorry, ma'am.
I am sure there are thieves in your country too, but we Indians never abuse.
Made for Each Other will be airing every weekday at 6:30 p.m., while Scandal moves to 4:30 p.m. So sit back, relax, and enjoy your favorite TV channel. NTV, turning on your world.
I'm gonna blow your mind and I'm gonna twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
The average age of the international team is under 18. And
the primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make 1 or 2 rugby fans smile, that the Cubs are doing well.
The players have not put on they have not wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
On the next episode of
It is very pretty. Did your wife choose it for you?
How would I know?
I can't believe you did not talk to her. I'm sure you at least asked her.
I'm sure you will fall in love with it.
You
What
won't
is
get
Bride's
this pattern.
father's
Just a
name?
second. You won't get this pattern in the
Bride's
entire
father's name.
city.
Meenakshi,
Yeah.
I have written Suraj's name. What is his wife's name?
Sandhya?
Oh, Sandhya.
You can download movies at the lowest prices another fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Thank you so much for staying with us up to this time. Please continue the discussion on Facebook, Morning at NTV. You can also tweet us at Morning at NTV. And your website, www.ntv.co.ug, is live. Have you checked out the NTV Mobi app?
Not yet, but surely will. I'm not, I don't know whether to call it fun. It might sound too local, but...
Toina Banos, Gonya.
No, Bandos, I'm always on point. The problem is having the urge probably to know more about IT things and stuff like that. But for NTV, definitely, I love to. This
My
more than
advice,
NTV. Yeah?
go to a place with free Wi-Fi.
Ah, okay, fine. And I think where we are, it should be Wi-Fi here.
This one is locked.
No, we'll talk to the guys. We'll talk to the guys. I mean, I'm on TV.
Yeah.
Give me Wi-Fi.
You know?
It's an endorsement. I mean, I tell guys I use Serena Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So, you know, so, yeah.
Well, you can go to our Facebook page and download the app. It's, you know, even in the Play Store, it's there, NTV Mobi. We're going mobile. Mabel is there as one of the faces for NTV Mobi.
I've seen you on the car, even you, man. You guys are
I'm
big.
a celeb. Can
You're
you
on the
imagine
car.
an NTV car passes me when I'm there at the back?
I would have felt worse if it wasn't a Japanese car, but since it's a Japanese car, it's okay. If it was German, but I think you're superstars on a German car, but it's all good. You're still superstars.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Brian, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Mabel, how are you doing?
Fine, thank
You
you,
didn't say
Brian.
anything. Come on.
I'm happy to have you. Happy to see you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell us about Mombasa.
Mombasa is
For
good.
Ugandan sides.
Yeah.
What happened?
Mombasa is good, first of all. Isma is okay. He's enjoying
Did he buy
himself.
some shots?
I saw him taking pictures with
You
the
know,
big
it
horns.
is- actually, when I said actually I saw Isma wearing tracks on the beach, I realized it was the best idea I could ever do, because I can imagine him in shorts. I mean, not a cool idea.
Okay, so
Whoever would
tomorrow,
have been attracted, yeah.
I promise you, we're going to post pictures of Isma.
In shorts?
In Mombasa.
I thought Isma in shorts. You must be kidding me.
Taking pictures.
You still want people to watch this show? You want to then don't. Anyways, it was a fantastic day. Beyond good, but just fantastic day for Ugandan teams yesterday. First of all, City Hall were in a group. Actually, their first fixture, all of us thought, and I was chatting with Isma, because once he saw the group, he was like, you know what, City Hall are out. I told him they'll beat up on probably KPA.
Yeah.
And I thought the fixture they were starting with was the hardest. And guess what? City Hall come on top. And not just coming on top, but coming from, I think, when they were down in the first quarter, I think they must have been 17 or 6 down, fighting hard, convincingly coming back to win 61 and I think 58 against Espoir.
Wow.
Espoir of Rwanda, which is, I think, for me, it could be the
Combination of
second.
the best.
The best, because for them, they combine the best players. It's not like City Hall, who say we have our players here. Winning 61, 58. And the person who impressed me most is the youngster, Samuel Karwanyi. Got from Charging Rhinos when City Hall actually joined the league. When he thought this is one of the biggest stages, and guess what? The energy brought to that team. Because basketball sometimes is beyond scoring points. But the energy brought down low in terms of blocking shots and also defending, picking rebounds, which they did well, and limiting the Espoir team to shooting threes. That was huge. Of course, their best player, Kami Kabanga, had the team high 14 points. Jimmy, Koma, and Andrew P also finished with 13 points. Huge game.
Awesome.
Huge win. Big effort from City Hall. And I asked him, I told him, I'm sure those Oilers, the management who deal in oil must be oiled up already, said it was ecstasy.
Fantastic.
This is a team without a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
probably
some players were...
Yeah, Jeff Ormond is not there, but he
Yeah.
flew actually in. Now he's the coach. He's one of the most experienced players. He coaches one of the female teams here. But because they didn't have a coach, and Jeff hadn't gotten papers, they decided to have him as a coach, assisted by one of the bosses in Mohamed Gedi, but commonly known as Haji, in the team. And man, they worked wonders. Absolutely brilliant from City Hall. And KCC did the same. Of course, they played, I think, a smaller and a little weaker side. In APR, they beat them up, I think it must have been 65-38, 36 if I'm not mistaken, yeah. Claire Lamono, I think the last time I came here and said they don't have Peace Poskovia and Martha Soigi, I talked about Claire Lamono playing 5 times better. And she showed up, 25 points for her. Young girl, she's about 20, 21. But the basketball she's played in the last 2 seasons has been way up there. And for me, fantastic day for the Ugandan teams. And hopefully it continues today because Power in action against Bank. And then UCU are facing a very tough team. For UCU, I've got to feel sorry for them. They faced USIU, the Kenyan team who are the defending champions. They don't have a point guard. The 2 point guards they had last season are not available. Eva got injured, Namirimu left. They don't have probably the other shooting guard, their best shooting guard in Morina Moding, who stayed back home because of her education. She had, I think, research presentation this week, so she cannot be available there. It's going to be tough for them. But given what we had yesterday, you never know. Power and UCU could also do the same today.
Okay, great news for Ugandans. Now on to the English Premier League. Yesterday we saw the second game for Manchester City and Liverpool. Did Balotelli play, by the way?
Mario is in town, baby. Mario was in town, and he looked a gentleman. This guy looks different. Once he gets on the pitch, that's where the problem is. He's going to run mad. And you but he looked calm. He was actually talking to Man City players. He was at the Etihad, but couldn't play. Because the only way he could play if he had been signed before midday Friday. That's the only way he could have played in this game. And thank God he didn't, because to be sincere to you, if he had played in this game, I was betting it would have been a red card for him, Mario. I'm sure I would want to get one off there. This is for my employers. But yesterday, of course, Mario was in the stands, and Liverpool couldn't handle City too much. Too much power, too much quality, too much football for Liverpool. I'm sorry, but they were beaten 3-1. Stevan Jovetic showing probably why Manuel Pellegrini told people, you are going to see the real Stevan Jovetic this season. This guy's already smacked him goals. They bought him from Fiorentina. He's Serbian. He's a very good player. Can play off the wing, play off striker through the middle. He was brilliant. And of course, Sergio Aguero, 23 seconds on the pitch and scored this goal. He came on for Edin Dzeko, I think, who had gotten a knock. Man City, simply brilliant. Liverpool, a lot of work to do. When you sign so many players, you've got to give them time to gel into the team and see what formation you're going to try out. Unfortunately, sometimes pre-season is not good enough. Yesterday, they weren't that bad, but City, I think, for me, was too much. Liverpool struggled this season, losing Luis Suarez, but also probably teams will take them more serious, which becomes a problem because teams defend better against you. Teams want to beat up on you because they know, actually, Liverpool are a very good team. They'll really struggle. But given the performance they didn't put in yesterday, much as they lost 3-1, they could do something. But Man City, too much quality. Imagine, Edin Dzeko started with Stevan Jovetic as just strikers. Sergio Aguero on the bench. Alvaro Negredo is injured. In defense, they have Vincent Kompany and Demichelis.
Yaya Toure, where is he?
Yaya Toure started with Fernandes. They have Fernandinho, who was one of their best players last season, on the bench. Mangala, 32 million pounds they bought a defender. He's not even playing. And they don't even seem like they're missing him. Too good.
The team on the bench can play the league.
The team on the bench
can win the league.
Half of the team on the bench can go straight into the United team with the slaps telling the other guys, get out. Get out there to play. But they can also win the league.
United, Angel Di Maria, what's the latest?
Man, United is buzzing. Everyone is excited. I mean, first of all, I think beyond Angel Di Maria being a good player, it's a good sign that United are willing to spend money. Because that's been the concern of supporters. The Glazers are just coming to dry us up. They don't want to spend money. They own another club in the NFL, National Football League in the USA, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've dropped levels drastically. So everyone is thinking, okay, it seems this is the campaign these guys are after. They want us to be like Tampa Bay. But this is Man United. We're talking about 20-time English champions, 3-time Champions League winners, more than 10 times they've won the FA Cup. They've won the Capital One Cup. These guys are used to winning. And the only way they're going to win is by buying players.
Yeah.
Because they're competing with Chelsea and Man City. I don't think United look at themselves competing with the Arsenal, much as they finish ahead of them and Liverpool. They want to compete with the best. Because I sat down and thinking, United, you want to compete with Bayern, Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea, Man City. Look at the teams they do have. Now, Angel Di Maria is definitely, by the end of today, I'm sure, the deal will be done. They are quoting different figures, but should be between 55 and I think 60 million pounds, which could actually stretch to 70, given add-ons.
Wow.
Of course, there's one add-on I don't think Madrid will get money for. If Angel Di Maria wins the Ballon d'Or, Madrid have to be given some money. I don't think he's going to win it anytime soon, much as it's going to be, but it's a huge addition. Van Gaal was talking about having very good wingers like Di Maria and Ronaldo. Now he's gotten one of those. And then we can only wait and see. And they've actually been talk of renewing their interest in Arturo Vidal. Maybe one or two more could be coming in. Because they said they have money to spend. Ed Woodward said, we have money. Where's the money? You spend it. Yeah. And they had said actually the incoming manager needs about 200 million pounds to spend. So I think they've spent only a little of that. They should be having about 80 more to spend for me. They need about 2 extra players, probably an extra midfielder and maybe another defender. But Angel Di Maria, huge, yeah. And of course, Mario Balotelli also completed his deal to Liverpool yesterday.
Well, we are yet to see the maiden win for Van Gaal, and hope I have a lot of respect for Man United, and especially the coach. I didn't for Moyes because I thought you can't bring a Coca-Cola coach to train the national team.
You know someone.
But you start from somewhere.
You know someone tweeted.
No.
You know someone tweeted. No. Someone tweeted when Moyes moved to United. He said United got Moyes out of United got Moyes out of Everton, but they never got Everton out of Moyes.
Yeah, I think he was a great team for small. He was a great coach for small
average team. Yeah, you know that those teams.
Give him time to grow.
Let me tell you something.
Give him the big
There's a lot of attention and a lot of pressure that comes. For example, when Van Gaal signed the contract, you don't want to know he would be followed everywhere. When he was actually coaching the Netherlands, asked questions about United. This is a guy coaching Netherlands.
I'm still in the World Cup.
I'm still in the World Cup. Before the World Cup, preparing for the World Cup. All they were asking him questions, they're following him here and there. Angel Di Maria is going to sign for United. They already talk about the story of his kid, because Angel Di Maria had the wife had is it called premature birth?
Premature.
They gave birth to a premature, and the kid actually, they were told the kid had a 30% chance of surviving. Now, if United had not signed Angel Di Maria, probably would never have seen this story the day. Now they've started looking for those stories, you know. That's how, you know, that pressure, you must be in position to handle it. Van Gaal has been there. He's been at Bayern, he's been at Barcelona, he's been at Madrid. He knows, I mean, this is another big club. I can handle this. Moyes, I think, ran out of ideas. Sometimes I could see Moyes looking like me on the bench.
What about this young guy who was at Chelsea before he got fired? The Italian.
No, the Portuguese. You're talking about Andre Villas-Boas.
No. Yeah, that one was young.
Di Matteo.
And then Di Matteo.
Di Matteo actually was an assistant.
You see?
He helped them win the Champions League. But you see, Di Matteo, you see what happened? He was there and he had won. You see, Ryan Giggs, for example, if they asked you, Ryan Giggs, David Moyes, you choose Ryan Giggs. Why?
Anytime.
He's
used to the big stage.
I mean, what are you going to tell Ryan? Or what are you telling me? I've won everything.
Except the World Cup.
Apart from, the only person who has more staff than Ryan Giggs is Mario Balotelli, because he's had more parking fines than Ryan Giggs, who grew up in England. He's a player.
To Madrid now, Real yesterday and Atletico.
Yeah, they were in action last night. Barcelona had already won on Sunday, 3-1. Real came into action playing against Cordoba, the new guys. Cordoba. You know, for them, you have to ensure you stress that R. They say Cordoba, the new team. But there's also a player called Cordoba, by the way. Yeah. But new team in the La Liga, and they managed to win. Not that convincing, but good enough to start the season. They won 2-0. Karim Benzema and Cristiano Ronaldo scoring the goals for them. On the other side, Atletico Madrid, first of all, announcement was made yesterday. Their coach suspended for 8 games. 4 in the league, 4 in the Spanish Super Cup. Those in the Spanish Super Cup may not be that important because Atletico may not win the Copa del Rey or the La Liga to play there. So they might just be there to exist until maybe when they get back. But yesterday, I think they're going to miss him. The energy that he sees still. Some teams just can't play with their coaches on the bench without them. I mean, it's tough. Yesterday it wasn't. It was at the director's box. And maybe that could have played a part. They didn't start well. The game ended goalless. A lot of work for them to do this season. I think against teams like Real Vallecano, they've got to beat them up on, because there are not so many points they're going to pick up, with Barcelona and Madrid wanting to win. Barcelona want to win, Madrid want to make a huge point that we can retain our championship.
I know we are probably, you know, taking a lot of time, but quickly tell us about Nico saying he won't apologize.
I mean, first of all,
this is getting nasty.
No, it is. I mean, it's crazy. Just imagine the three of us working here, and all I want to do, I mean, we can't share this space. What I want to put my stuff here, maybe pushes it away, and they're seeing us, because it's out there for everyone to see. First of all, I thought it was a little wrong for Lewis Hamilton to come out in public and say Nico said this, because it was a private meeting, an internal meeting. But again, you understand his anger. Why would the teammate do that to you? I mean, if you're going to compete fairly, then beat Hamilton fair and square. But if a guy is he has a right of way, is in his space, and you encroach on it, I mean, it's a big problem. And actually, you can also cause problems for your own car. Nico yesterday posted a video on YouTube saying, I've heard what Lewis has said. I have a different version to this, and I can only wait and see. I will not give mine right now. Let's wait and see. But there's no doubt that Nico was wrong. Toto Wolff, their boss, has said that. But what Toto Wolff concluded was, I'm waiting for these guys to become cool, then we can talk again, because it's running out of time.
Them both get other
Oh, please.
You can't fire very
You
good
can't.
drivers.
It would be very, very crazy for you to do that. All right. Before we leave, yes, I'm really breaking the rules here, but let's go straight to the African proverb. When one is in trouble, one remembers God.
Yeah. As it's very plain. We seem to remember God more.
Get me out of this, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I need you now.
I like what is happening now with WhatsApp groups, where, you know, regardless of what, you know, I belong to several WhatsApp groups, and somehow all these guys will start the day with a word for the day.
Yeah.
Except
Bible
morning
verse.
at NTV.
Except morning at NTV.
Bible
Morris
verse.
Mugisha, do something.
Bible verse.
Bible
Why, Morris?
verse.
You should be leading
It's
that.
really beautiful.
Remember, the two of you should be
Pastor
leading. You've spent over 6 years in church. The two of you, I know you.
Okay, so we are going
Why
to start
why don't
we're
you
going
do
to start
that?
it this morning.
Download the Bible verse. It just goes there automatically, so that you don't have to wake up and think
So
about it.
we are going to do that. You know.
But you know what? Do not run to God when you're in trouble.
Yes.
I get you what you want and run away. He knows whatever we want and what we have at heart. So if you think you're going there, get it and run away, you're in big trouble.
All right.
Big trouble. You've got to.
Reverend Brian.
Thank you very much, brother. Hallelujah.
Right. You know, let's take this seriously, guys, because whether you believe in a traditional, you know, that is your God, okay?
No, I'll tell you
Ultimately,
something. Even those who believe in the Almighty. That's why they tell you, the guy can simply tell you, in case you don't want to but
Hey.
but he can also tell you that. There's nobody that can say that.
See? So there's a supernatural being up there, and we all must respect him. So don't just wait when you're in trouble, and remember him.
Pray at all times.
That's our takeout for the day. Go to our Facebook page. Invite your friends to like the page. Let us know how we can make this show better. And I tell you, we'll start your mornings even on better notes. Until tomorrow, have a phenomenal day. Bye-bye.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.